We find ourselves transported to the sunny state of Florida back in September 2003, where a tale of deceit and dual lives unfolded following the chilling murder of a dedicated wife and cherished community figure. This is the narrative of Emily Kenyon, a woman who met an untimely demise upon unearthing the sinister secrets harbored by her spouse. Emily Kenyon, a vibrant 37-year-old, resided in the heart of West Palm Beach, Florida. Renowned for her benevolence and compassion, she nurtured an unusual fondness for serpents. As a curator at a nearby reptile sanctuary, she tended to an array of snakes, from pythons and boas to the elusive green mamba. Emily's affection for nature extended beyond her scaly companions. She was an avid gardener, devoting much of her leisure time to nurturing her flora. A biology graduate from the University of South Florida, Emily crossed paths with Marlon Kenyon during her academic journey. The pair exchanged vows soon after Emily's graduation, settling into a quaint abode boasting a spacious backyard, an idyllic setting for Emily's garden and serpent enclosures. Emily maintained a close bond with her kin, particularly her junior sibling, Brian, an educator based in Orlando. An active participant in her neighborhood, Emily volunteered at the local animal refuge and played a pivotal role in coordinating philanthropic events. As a proud member of the West Palm Beach Garden Club, she frequently imparted her horticultural wisdom to her circle of acquaintances. Emily's vivacious spirit and eagerness to extend assistance endeared her to many. September 2003 marked a pivotal shift in Emily's existence. She stumbled upon a startling truth. Her husband, Marlon, was clandestinely wedded to another woman, Zara Pinnock, who, to Emily's disbelief, was her gynecologist. This bombshell left Emily reeling, prompting her to confide in her trusted friend and colleague, Robert Banjovac, a fellow serpent enthusiast. Robert, concerned for her well-being, counseled her to exercise caution. Emily, resolute in her pursuit of the truth, decided to confront Marlon about his duplicitous marriage. Amidst the upheaval, she persevered with her daily obligations, caring for her serpents and cultivating her garden. She even partook in a community fair, where she assisted with a serpent display and basked in the delight of the captivated children. Amidst these trials, Emily received another revelation. She was expecting a child. This revelation further complicated her emotional state, yet she remained hopeful about the future. She intended to visit her brother in Orlando to confide in him about her predicament and seek guidance. Regrettably, Emily never had the opportunity to disclose her intentions. Her life was brutally snuffed out before she could navigate the tumultuous waters stirred by Marlon's treachery. The morning of September 10, 2003, dawned in West Palm Beach under a gloomy sky, heavy with the promise of rain. At approximately 7:30 a.m., as Linda Ross, Emily Kenyon's neighbor, was out walking her dog, she noticed an unusual stillness in Emily's typically bustling garden. Driven by concern, Linda approached the backyard fence and was met with a chilling sight. Emily lay motionless near her beloved rose bushes. As Linda drew closer, her heart pounded with dread. Emily was sprawled face down in a crimson pool, the victim of a savage beating. A bloodied golf club lay ominously nearby. Overwhelmed with panic, Linda hastily dialed 911, her voice trembling as she relayed the horrifying scene to the operator. Within moments, emergency services descended upon the scene, confirming Linda's worst fears. Emily was deceased. The once tranquil neighborhood was now abuzz with police activity, as stunned residents peered from their windows, struggling to comprehend the tragedy that had befallen their community. News of Emily's demise spread swiftly, leaving the residents of West Palm Beach in a state of shock and sorrow. Local media outlets, including the Palm Beach Post, reported on the incident, and the police vowed to bring the perpetrator of such a heinous act to justice. At around 7:45 a.m., Detectives James Avery and Avery Brooks of the West Palm Beach Police Department arrived at Emily's residence, their keen senses heightened by the urgency of the situation. Detective Avery, known for his sharp instincts and unruffled demeanor, took command of the scene. His partner, Detective Brooks, was methodical and meticulous, always diligent in preserving evidence. The once serene garden had been transformed into a gruesome crime scene, marred by blood-spattered grass and an upturned flower pot beside Emily's lifeless form. The detective's attention was immediately drawn to the blood-stained golf club, seemingly the instrument of the vicious attack. Emily's body bore the brutal marks of a violent struggle, with multiple injuries to her head and torso. The scene was one of chaos, with shattered flower pots and discarded gardening tools bearing testament to the ferocity of the assault. Forensic experts promptly arrived, meticulously collecting evidence such as the golf club, blood samples, and potential DNA traces. They methodically photographed the scene from every angle, ensuring no detail was overlooked. The crime scene unit also dusted for fingerprints on the golf club and surrounding surfaces. Detectives Avery and Brooks commenced their investigation by interviewing Linda Ross, the neighbor who had discovered Emily's body. Despite her shock, Linda provided a lucid account of her grim discovery. Her detailed and consistent statement aided the detectives in constructing an initial timeline of events. As the detectives delved deeper into the case, they scoured the neighborhood for potential leads. They engaged with the residents, inquiring about any unusual sights or sounds that morning. A few neighbors recalled hearing a heated argument the previous night, yet none could confirm having seen anyone entering or leaving the Kenyon property. Upon searching the house, the investigators found no signs of forced entry, suggesting that Emily might have been acquainted with her assailant. A thorough examination revealed no missing or disturbed personal belongings, effectively ruling out theft as a motive. Detectives Avery and Brooks recognized the urgency of the situation, as the evidence pointed towards a personal motive. They were resolute in their pursuit of the perpetrator behind this vicious crime. After meticulously reviewing the evidence, they prepared to interrogate those closest to Emily, beginning with her husband, Marlon Kenyon. The primary suspect in Emily Kenyon's murder was none other than her husband, Marlon Kenyon. At the age of 35, Marlon appeared to lead an idyllic life. He was a prosperous financial advisor in West Palm Beach and was renowned for his charisma and attractive appearance. However, Marlon harbored a sinister secret. He led a double life. In addition to his marriage to Emily, he was secretly married to another woman, Zara Pink, in Miami. Emily had uncovered this secret mere days before her murder, which had severely strained their relationship. Even more astonishing and unknown to both wives was Marlon's clandestine career as a gay adult film star, operating under the pseudonym Ash Ketchum. On the very day Emily's body was discovered, detectives James Avery and Avery Brooks summoned Marlon for questioning at the West Palm Beach Police Department. Despite his composed appearance, the detectives were determined to uncover the truth. "Marlon, can you account for your whereabouts last night?" "I was in Miami on business. I stayed at a hotel, and you can verify that." "Was Emily aware of your other wife?" "She had recently found out. It's been difficult for us, but I would never harm her." The detectives corroborated Marlon's alibi. He had indeed checked into the Hilton Miami downtown, a reputable hotel. However, the timeline remained dubious, as Marlon could have driven back to West Palm Beach, committed the crime, and returned to Miami. Despite his seemingly tranquil demeanor and alibi, Marlon's double life offered a compelling motive. Emily's revelation threatened to expose him, and he had much at stake. The detectives found Marlon's composure unsettling, as if he had rehearsed his responses. They persisted in questioning him about his whereabouts, his relationship with Emily, and his secret life. Marlon maintained his innocence, asserting that he loved Emily and would never harm her. The detectives were aware that they required more concrete evidence to establish Marlon's guilt. Although he was released, Marlon remained under close watch. Detectives Avery and Brooks persisted in their investigation into his background, hoping to unearth any incriminating evidence. They conversed with his colleagues, scrutinized his financial records, and even spoke with his second wife, Zara, who was equally shocked by the revelations. The case against Marlin was gradually strengthening, but the detectives were still in search of irrefutable proof. They remained hopeful that the ongoing investigation would yield the necessary evidence to bring Emily the justice she deserved. The second individual suspected in Emily Kenyon's murder was Zara Pink, the other wife of Marlin Kenyon. Zara, a dedicated 30-year-old gynecologist, was admired for her devotion to her patients at a Miami clinic. She was known to be compassionate, diligent, and highly regarded in her profession. Unbeknownst to her, she was entangled in Marlin's secretive double life. When detectives James Avery and Avery Brooks contacted Zara on September 12, 2003, she was about to be confronted with the truth about Emily's murder and Marlin's duplicity. She had been completely unaware of Marlin's other marriage. The detectives traveled to Miami to speak with Zara at her clinic. Upon their arrival, Zara welcomed them into her office, looking visibly distressed and pale. Zara's genuine reaction and willingness to cooperate made it clear that she, too, had fallen victim to Marlin's deception. She provided the detectives with Marlin's schedule and any pertinent details she could recall about his behavior in recent weeks. Despite her shock and sadness, Zara maintained her composure. She explained that she last saw Marlin on the evening of September 9th, when he left their home under the pretense of a business trip in Miami. Zara had no reason to doubt him, but now she felt an overwhelming sense of betrayal. The detectives inquired if Zara had any reason to suspect that Marlin might harm Emily. "No, I could never have imagined he was capable of such a thing," Zara replied, her voice quivering. Following the interview, detectives Avery and Brooks carefully reviewed Zara's statements and alibi. They confirmed that she was indeed at work on the night of Emily's murder, effectively eliminating her as a suspect. However, her testimony offered valuable insights into Marlin's character and potential motives. Zara's heartache and anger towards Marlin's betrayal were palpable. She fully cooperated with the investigation, eager to see justice served for Emily. With Zara no longer a suspect, the focus shifted back to Marlin. The detectives felt they were on the verge of uncovering the truth, but they needed more evidence to solidify their case. They hoped that further investigation would reveal the remaining pieces of the puzzle. On the morning of September 15th, 2003, 5 days after the tragic murder of Emily Kenyon, a breakthrough in the case emerged. The day began with sunshine and a gentle breeze, providing a temporary reprieve from the recent gloom. At approximately 9 a.m., Detective James Avery received a call from Henry Guanabo, the proprietor of a local pawn shop. Henry reported discovering a gold bracelet bearing Emily's initials in his establishment. Detectives Avery and Avery Brooks promptly made their way to Turner's Pawn Shop, situated on Clematis Street, a popular shopping district in West Palm Beach. The shop, though small, was brimming with an assortment of items, ranging from vintage guitars to antique jewelry. Henry handed the bracelet to Detective Avery, revealing that a man had attempted to sell it 2 days prior. Upon examining the bracelet, the detectives instantly recognized it as one Emily frequently wore. Henry supplied a description of the man, which bore a striking resemblance to Emily's close friend and co-worker, Robert Banjovac. The detectives sensed they were on the cusp of a significant discovery. They returned to the police station with the bracelet for further examination. At the station, forensic experts confirmed that the bracelet belonged to Emily. Additionally, they discovered fingerprints on it that matched Robert's. The detectives felt they were drawing closer to solving the case. Later that day, they reviewed surveillance footage from businesses in the vicinity of the pawn shop. The footage clearly showed Robert entering the shop, donning a baseball cap and sunglasses. This evidence provided a critical connection between Robert and the stolen bracelet. Detective Avery and Detective Brooks deliberated on their next course of action. They resolved to bring Robert in for questioning, hoping that the compelling new evidence would pressure him into confessing. The third individual suspected in Emily Kenyon's murder was Robert Banjovac, a 49-year-old close friend and colleague of Emily's in the snake-collecting community. Robert was known for his enthusiasm for reptiles and his deep, unrequited love for Emily. He had a history of mental instability and occasional violent outbursts, which caught the attention of the detectives. On September 16, 2003, a day after uncovering new evidence implicating Marlon, detectives James Avery and Avery Brooks decided to interview Robert at his residence. The weather was sunny with a few clouds, characteristic of a Florida morning. Robert lived in a modest home filled with snake terrariums and reptile-related memorabilia. Upon their arrival, the detectives noticed Robert's nervous demeanor. He was a tall, slender man with glasses, appearing anxious as he led them into his living room. Robert and Emily shared a close bond, fostered by their mutual love for snakes. They spent considerable time together at reptile shows and events, a fact well known within their community. Robert confessed to the detectives that he was aware of the issues in Emily's marriage to Marlon. Emily had confided in him about Marlon's other wife, leaving her deeply distressed and uncertain about her future. This revelation offered the detectives insight into Robert's potential motive. His unrequited feelings for Emily could have driven him to take drastic actions. As the interrogation persisted, Robert's anxiety escalated. His profound resentment towards Marlon for causing Emily pain was palpable. However, he insisted that he would never cause her harm. Despite his denials, his history of instability and intense affection for Emily rendered him a suspect. Robert's alibi for the night of the murder was flimsy. He claimed to have been at home alone, caring for his snakes, but no one could corroborate his account. The detectives took note of Robert's mounting anguish as he lamented his inability to save Emily and mourned their unrealized relationship. Further scrutiny of Robert's actions revealed that he had been to Emily's garden the day following the murder. He maintained that his visit was to look after her snakes, but the timing aroused suspicion. Neighbors reported seeing Robert's car depart late on the night of the murder and return early in the morning, contradicting his assertion of being at home. The detectives also explored Robert's medical background, discovering past treatment for depression and anger management issues. His turbulent past, coupled with his deep feelings for Emily, depicted a man capable of committing a crime driven by passion. Despite Robert's emotional turmoil and questionable behavior, the detectives required more solid evidence to establish his involvement in Emily's murder. They continued to keep a close eye on him while amassing additional clues to either incriminate or exonerate him in the case. The turning point in Emily Kenyon's murder case occurred on September 18, 2003, when detectives James Avery and Avery Brooks unearthed crucial evidence. The morning was overcast and muggy, typical of late summer in West Palm Beach. The detectives had been relentlessly piecing together clues to identify the killer. The new evidence surfaced from an unexpected source: security camera footage from a neighbor's property. The camera, installed to surveil the neighbor's yard, had inadvertently captured part of Emily's backyard on the night of the murder. The footage revealed Marlon Kenyon entering the backyard with a golf club and subsequently leaving with blood-stained clothing. Detectives Avery and Brooks examined the footage, realizing they had obtained the evidence they needed. The footage undeniably placed Marlon at the scene of the crime with the murder weapon. The detectives prepared for Marlon's arrest, knowing it would be a pivotal step in securing justice for Emily. At 3:00 p.m., under a gloomy sky, the detectives arrived at Marlon's office. Marlon was in a meeting discussing financial strategies with clients. The detectives waited in the reception area, observing him through the glass partitions. Marlon appeared self-assured and poised, oblivious to the impending upheaval in his life. When the detectives entered the room and announced his arrest, Marlon's reaction was one of disbelief and fury. He vehemently protested, removing all of his clothing and asserting his innocence. The detectives handcuffed him and recited his rights as his colleagues watched in astonished silence. Marlon's composed facade had finally crumbled in a dramatic manner. Marlon was escorted to the West Palm Beach Police Department for booking. Throughout the interrogation, he persistently denied any connection to Emily's murder. However, the mounting evidence against him was compelling. The fingerprints and the newly discovered security footage created a compelling narrative of Marlon's culpability. As Marlon awaited his trial, the community struggled to come to terms with the shocking disclosures. Emily had been a cherished member of the community, and her murder left a profound emptiness in many lives. The arrest of her husband, a man who had appeared so charming and reliable, served as a stark reminder of the concealed darkness that can hide beneath the surface. The trial of Marlon Kenyon for the murder of his wife, Emily Kenyon, commenced on December 1, 2004. The courthouse in West Palm Beach was abuzz with media attention, attracting reporters from local news stations. The courtroom was packed with Emily's family, friends, and curious spectators, all eager to witness justice being served. The prosecution was led by Carla Matthews, a seasoned 45-year-old attorney renowned for her unwavering pursuit of justice. Matthews presented a compelling case, beginning with the shocking evidence. The security camera footage displaying Marlon with a golf club, the bloodied clothes, and the gold bracelet bearing Emily's initials. She contended that Marlon's motive was to silence Emily after she uncovered his double life and threatened to expose him. The defense attorney, Mike Travin, was a 50-year-old veteran lawyer known for taking on challenging cases. Travin maintained that Marlon was innocent, asserting that the evidence was circumstantial and that Marlon had deep affection for Emily. He proposed that someone else, possibly Robert Banjovac, could have committed the crime out of envy and rage. Throughout the trial, Emily's family watched with a blend of hope and sorrow. Her parents, seated in the front row, held each other's hands tightly, while her sister wiped away tears. The testimony of Emily's friends and co-workers depicted a kind, loving woman whose life was tragically cut short. On December 15th, after weeks of testimony and 3 days of deliberation, the jury reached a verdict. The courtroom fell silent as the foreman rose to announce the decision. Marlon Kenyon was found guilty of first-degree murder. Gasps and whispers echoed through the room, followed by tears and embraces from Emily's family. Marlon was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Addressing the court, Emily's brother underscored the severity of Marlon's treachery and the profound effect it had on his family and the community. As Marlon was escorted away in handcuffs, his once self-assured demeanor was replaced by a vacant expression. The verdict and sentencing provided a sense of justice for Emily's family and friends. While the anguish of losing her would never completely heal, they found comfort in knowing that Marlon would be held accountable for his crime. The community, too, experienced a degree of relief, as the conclusion of the trial signified the end of a dark era. Following Marlon Kenyon's sentence of life in prison without parole, those involved in Emily Kenyon's case gradually began to move forward. The trial, which had ended in December 2004, left a lasting impression on everyone. Emily's family grappled with her absence. Her parents found solace in their community and the support of friends, establishing a scholarship fund in Emily's name at the University of South Florida to aid aspiring snake enthusiasts in pursuing their dreams. Zara Pink, Marlon's second wife, faced a different kind of hurdle. Shocked and heartbroken by Marlon's deceit and crimes, she chose to leave West Palm Beach and return to her hometown of Trenton, New Jersey. Robert Banjovac, Emily's close friend and colleague, deeply struggled with her passing and his brief status as a suspect. After the trial, Robert sought therapy to cope with his grief and mental health issues. He also continued to care for Emily's snakes, ensuring her legacy lived on through their well-being. Marlon Kenyon, now serving his life sentence, remained largely silent. His double life and the tragic consequences of his actions were frequent topics of discussion among his fellow inmates and the prison staff. His downfall served as a cautionary tale about the destructive power of secrets and lies. Emily Kenyon's tragic death had a profound impact on everyone involved. While justice was served, the pain of her loss persisted. The community's efforts to honor her memory and support each other demonstrated the resilience and strength that emerged in the wake of such a devastating event. Emily Kenyon's life was tragically cut short by the deceit and desperation of those she trusted most. Her story serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of trust and the devastating consequences of betrayal.